All right.
So so Philip, the potatoes will be a little bit,
Gonna do today.
Oh, sorry. All right, so we're gonna start off with the potage, which is what I call it, but it's actually I found it in the recipe book, the Je sais cuisiner, and they actually call it potage bonne femme.
Oh.
Like, okay. It's the green highlighted one. And it's exactly what this is. So with the leek, you don't actually use the really tough green part. You actually cut off most of that. So
I've had leeks before, Pook, and I never really have I just sort of shave it in this direction, but I never
No, you cut off cut off the top.
Okay.
And
okay. Nice.
All right. And if you look, can you see mine? I don't know. You might not be able to see mine.
Well, I can see it because I got your top. Yeah.
It's this is all encrusted with dirt.
Yeah.
I don't know if some are, some aren't.
Mine's got dirt.
Yeah. So you see that? So the next thing to do, need the leaf back. Actually, my outer leaves are pretty yucky, so I'm gonna peel that off. That and one more. But you can see even here. Here, let me show you. Look how much dirt there is in this.
Nasty.
Wow. Yeah. So I'm peeling off those two leaves. Now I have so it's sort of clean and thing. Now what I do is I go down the middle, cut it there, then turn it just a quarter and cut down the middle.
Ooh, okay.
So you have sort of 4 quarters.
Now, did you keep the bottom intact?
I do for the moment.
Cool.
I do for the moment. And now I'm going to go and run it under cold water.
Okay.
Get all the dirt and yuck out.
I had never knew this method before for doing this. This is great. Philip, how are you?
Good.
Oh,
So, yeah. I mean, I'm doing okay, I guess.
You got your quarantine beard. It looks pretty similar to your pre-quarantine beard, but
I have my quarantine hair, my quarantine beard, my quarantine clothes. Yeah.
You look all right.
Yeah, we're both hanging in there. We signed on for another year here at and my classes are. I think this upcoming week is my last week of spring classes, and then the summer semester starts soon.
Wow.
After that, yeah, it's going to be online. They announced that the summer classes are also going to be online.
Oh. Yeah.
Hi, Mom.
Hi.
Anna, the other thing you might want to remember to do is also just make sure that you, like my cutting board, I now have dirt all over it.
Okay.
You don't put it, just so you don't put it into the soup.
Fair, wipe it
A
down.
little bit of dirt doesn't hurt anybody, but
My dog loves eating dirt. He'll go and just take a chomp full of, I don't know why he does that.
Okay. So once I finished washing the leek, I cut off the root. And then I'm gonna just gonna chop it into.
Managerial expertise that we.
Okay.
And I think this is what the country really responds to. This confidence.
Mommy, nice to see you. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, sweetie?
Of marshaling like a quarterman.
Love that wallpaper behind you.
Thank you.
So.
Bill, are you cooking today?
Yeah, just the
gratin.
gratin. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
All right, then I peel my, Anna?
Yeah.
I'm peeling my potatoes.
Okay.
So this
is using I have 2 small yellow potatoes. Is that good for that?
Yeah, it depends. You might not want to use all the leek. The proportions for the soup, just to give you an idea, is it's the same portion of leek and carrot, and it's double the potato.
You have a
So
steak.
just just to give you an idea. So for
We all do like
for that one whole Shash, for that one whole leek, I'm using sort of 5 medium potatoes and 2 carrots because it's what I have.
okay.
You know, and but the thing is, and again, most of these recipes all are for about six servings supposedly. Again, depends on your serving size.
Question, since I'm late to the party. Do I have to boil potatoes for the gratin?
No. You cook the potatoes in milk and butter and an egg mixture.
Okay.
And put it in. So no. So you can. I mean, for those who are just going to be doing the gratin, if you want, you can start peeling your potatoes. But I haven't peeled mine yet. So.
Ooh. What if we don't want to peel our potatoes?
Well,
Cool.
then don't. You'll just have the skins in your gratin. It's fine if you want. You know, the choice is yours.
Creativity. Okay. Peel potatoes.
Mom, do you have magic there?
No, he's sleeping on the couch today. He might walk by though. We'll
Got
see.
kicked out of his chair.
And started doing it more direct way because he
Who's got something going on in the background?
Oh, I'll turn it off. Sorry. It was my radio.
PR is the soundtrack to your life, Mom.
Yes, indeed.
Well, I should say Adam is like obsessed with Pain de Poisson now.
Oh no.
Okay.
Another one bites the dust.
Ah,
Spider-Man.
are you having to make it for him every day?
No, I made a pretty big one.
Yeah,
for just
it lasts a long time. So there are times where you're just like, yeah, you sort of get tired of it. But,
Yeah. We had it for lunch like almost every day last
yeah.
Has anyone seen this thing about whipped coffee?
Yes.
Yeah.
Has anyone had it yet?
No.
Don't do
I
it.
have. Answer, I have.
What was it?
What's
How
that?
was it?
It's instant coffee, water, and sugar.
Neat.
And you
Oh.
just like you whip it into like a whipped cream, like like stiff peaks, and then I guess you can just put it with whatever, like milk or something.
Ooh.
Most people put it over a glass of ice and milk. But if you look at the caffeine content of the instant coffee, the amount you use to make like 1 cup of this stuff is like 3 servings of instant coffee.
Whoa.
It messes you up if you drink the whole thing.
Philip, was it good when you made it?
Yeah.
I've heard mixed reviews. I haven't tried it yet.
So I'm now peeling my carrots.
Everyone's just getting messed up off this stuff at home. It's really funny. People are like crushing it.
Yeah, but you can get like a tripod like a mini tripod that you can. Don't even have to.
So I'll probably just use 1 carrot for this pook, right? I split my leek in half. I got 2 potatoes.
Yep.
Wine glasses, I got everything else. We could ship it over
Probably.
And then, how are you guys doing? Shash.
Oh, me?
Yeah, how are you guys doing out there?
We're doing okay.
Yeah.
You know, in between, just trying to stay busy. John's out of work, as
Yeah.
you can imagine, but I'm still working.
Oh, good.
So it is what it is.
Right. I know.
All right, so Anna, next step is, so do you have everything peeled?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you just want to cut your carrots to be approximately the same size as your leeks.
Okay.
My leeks are sort of quartered.
I'm showing you.
Oh.
You don't have to hold it up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let's see.
So, so that's the leeks, and then I'm just gonna. They just want to make everything sort of the same size.
There's 16 ounces in the pound.
Why?
We're trying to. Oh wait.
Weight-wise,
Yeah.
but 16 fluid ounces doesn't necessarily equal a pound of different things.
I know. It's the 2.5 pounds. Half of that would be 1.
Half of 2.5 pounds
Yeah.
would be 12 ounces. Wait,
No, it would be
18.
So you're doing your potatoes too, Pook, huh?
What?
You're
Yes,
doing your potatoes
yes. I'm cutting everything up so it's all.
basically the same size.
Yeah.
So that would be 1 pound, 2 ounces.
Yes.
What are you making, Shash?
I'm just trying to split the gratin recipe in half.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just trying to get about the right weight of potatoes.
But honestly, Charlotte, you might have a better time just doing.
All right. So Anna, are you all set with the chopping?
Almost.
Potato.
I just have one more potato to chop,
Okay.
but you can go ahead and do an
All right.
potato.
So the next step is that I put, some butter into my soup pan. I'm using my a closet, just because it's what I like, it's what I have. But any kind of soup pot.
Okay.
And then you melt your butter in it.
How much butter? Just a nice pat.
Tons of butter.
I don't know. I put in 2 tablespoons, and so just doing that. And then you need at least for what I have. I need 1.5 liters of water. So, which is 6 cups. It's 6 cups. A liter is 4 cups.
Okay.
So,
Oh, here comes Adam.
it's a little more. Hi, Adam. It's a little more than 4 cups. But if you get one of these, I love these Pyrex things that have little meters and thingies on it.
Look, I have ones that you gave me when I first went to college.
Oh, good God.
I'm pretty sure I got
Those
those from
things
you.
last forever.
You know, they're perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, soup pot.
Probably have ours from when you first went to college too.
I'm just waiting for the butter to do its thing.
Ooh, sizzling butter.
Yep. There's really nothing better than sizzling butter.
Mm.
Except sizzling butter and chocolate.
Yeah, well.
Ooh.
Okay.
So there we go.
Ooh, I love that action there. That's cool.
All right. And then I'm going to put all the chopped vegetables in.
And that can be salted butter, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. When I'm cooking like this, I don't make a distinction. I use whatever butter is at hand. Since I usually have both,
Yeah.
you know.
So did Mamu get this recipe from the book, Pook, you think, or did she just?
I don't know. I'm assuming that it's probably from that, but Gani used to make the same thing, and Gani used to have this book too. So my assumption is that all these recipes that we use, besides the Femme Poisson, because I looked up Femme de Poisson in the book, no, they didn't actually even have it in the book. I think it was something that Mamie made. So that's my assumption, but those are just assumptions.
Hello, sweetie pie. Say hello.
Right. I'm also
no,
going to salt this.
You're putting some salt in there?
Yeah. I have a tendency to forget to salt things. And I find, and John will probably tell you this too, that if you don't salt things correctly, it doesn't quite turn out the same way. Even if you add salt afterwards.
So, Momo,
Yeah, today.
I was not going to make the soup today because I don't have leeks.
Okay.
But John just said that we have a ton of scallions and that we could use scallions instead of
And
leeks.
wraps.
Sure, you're gonna work.
Ramps. So that I am now going to jump in and try to make this soup.
Okay.
Fast,
Ramp.
fast. Do it
Yeah,
like
honestly, my bet is that this soup, you can really add whatever you want, whatever you have. I mean, I guess I'm just making this up. But you know, scallions are part of the leek family. I think leeks are not as oniony, so are milder. So I think it's just the proportion that you put it. If you really want sort of an onion, potato, carrot soup, then, you know, add as many as you want. So it's just.
The other day, John went foraging for ramps. And so we have like tons and tons of ramps. So we're going to throw those into the soup too. I'm going to bring in my
Sure.
chopping relief pitcher. So John's going to chop all of the stuff.
Can we talk about ramps for a minute? Because I know nothing about them. I feel like I've heard, oh, hello, Dad.
Hi, sweetie.
Oh, that's a lovely shot, Christopher.
Dad, this is being recorded, just so you know.
Oh,
I want to know about ramps because I don't know much about them, what they taste like, what do they even look like?
it's like wild onions, kind of.
Ooh.
Well, I'm sure Josh could just show you.
Yeah, Shash, I want to see it. Show me.
So, Anna, I'm just going to point something out here.
Yep.
You see how the leeks are sort of melting a little bit? You see?
Yeah.
And I see how they're a little more translucent. Can you see that?
Yeah, okay.
So that's what you're sort of going for.
Okay.
Now, all we're going to do is add the water. Once you're sort of at that stage.
So you're adding 6 cups of water to yours, right?
Yep, that was 4 cups.
Basically like a cup per serving.
Yeah, approximately, yes. Alrighty, so 6 cups of just, there we go. I'm going, where's my big, oh, can I have the big pepper? No, please.
Oh, cute.
I'm gonna add some pepper.
He just squeezed them so the leaves are all like, you know, squishy. But, you know, you can imagine a normal
It
leaf.
tastes like a more garlicky scallion.
Yeah.
That sounds so good. And do you treat them the same as a scallion, basically?
Yeah, you can use the whole plant. the leaves are a lot more tender. So like I like to treat the leaves almost like spinach or some other kind of like delicate cooking green. And just like if I'm using the leaves, I usually add them at the end of cooking so they don't get all gross. And then the stems you can just slice up really thin like scallions and cook with them, you know, the same way you would cook with garlic or something. And then when I pick them in the woods, a lot of people like dig up the whole root structure and everything, but I usually snip them off with a knife like that far below the ground.
Normally a bulb.
So that the bulb stays intact, because they regrow from the bulb, and if you remove the whole thing, they won't come back.
They take like something like
They take like 10
Yeah.
years. They take like 10 years to grow into a mature like bulb that will produce a plant from seed. So
they're
Yeah.
So that's the lowdown on ramp.
All right. Are we done with the ramp lesson, or do we have more questions?
No, that's okay.
All right. Just so you know, I'm adding 2 bay leaves
Ooh.
to the soup. And I just put those in, and now we bring it to a boil. I'm gonna bring the whole thing to a boil, and then I'm gonna let it simmer while we make the gratin.
Awesome. I'll go
gonna-
get a baby to put in.
I'm just gonna clean this up. So the soup literally, and then you test it, you know, see if the potatoes and the carrots are cooked, you know, just with a knife type of thing. And then make sure that you take out your bay leaves. You know, make sure you take out the bay leaves. And then you can either use a potato masher if you like a thicker, chunky soup. You can, if you don't even want to bother, you can have it in a super chunky soup. Or I like to make it, I take my hand blender and blend it. Or since we happen to have the Vitamix, I might do it in the Vitamix and make it just like a, you know, super, super cream type
Really
of
yummy.
thing.
Do you add cream into this at all?
You can. My mom the way she used to do it is that when she served it, she would add a little bit of milk or cream. You know, so it's really up to you if you just want it plain. It's very simple, plain. You know, sometimes it will if you freeze it and then you defrost it, you might need to add a little bit more liquid because the potato will sort of thicken everything because there's so much starch in it. So you need to make sure that you do all that. You know, again, you sort of have to take it as you have to look at it and see what it looks like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That type of a thing. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Pook. That's awesome. We're going to eat this for lunch, and I can't wait.
Yep,
Mhm.
so I'm heating this up. I'm gonna bring it to a boil. I'm gonna clean off the rest of my top, and then I'm gonna start peeling my russet potatoes for the gratin.
Yay.
All right, so,
Green is like castor.
oh, yeah. So,
Red is earthen.
and I'm also gonna get out a couple of other things that I need for the gratin. So. All right, I'm just gonna start peeling potatoes. What happened?
I'm a coding genius, Mama.
Oh, okay, well, congratulations, shall you?
Are you learning coding?
Yeah, in Google Earth Maps.
Oh, that was the thing that you told me that I should do for fun.
I'm making maps with words.
In JavaScript.
Woo!
Yeah, in Java.
So I don't know, I guess Isabel isn't joining today.
Lame.
She's probably supervising her kids and her dogs.
Or she's just sleeping, who knows?
Also totally appropriate for a Sunday.
Yeah.
Adam's asking, is it snowing there?
What, is it snowing there?
Not today.
Not here, not today.
Yesterday it was a beautiful spring day.
Yes, it was. We actually finally met our neighbors, our new neighbors.
Yay.
You know, Shash, when Ginny and Tom moved out, we didn't have a chance to meet our neighbors sort of before the holidays and all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, this happened. And we finally met them yesterday. Well, we met the dad and I think somebody's grandparent, somebody's parents.
That's nice.
They have 2 little boys, a 4-year-old and what he said,
9-month-old.
9 months? Yeah. So,
Babies.
Max,
no, Evan
Evan
and Zach.
Zach, and his name was Mark.
No.
No. Right now we're
Forgot how much I love peeling potatoes.
Do you really, Phil?
No. No.
Have your potatoes got a lot of like eyes and cuts and
Yeah,
bruises?
they've got a lot of imperfections.
Oh, yeah, I hate those.
I went to the grocery store, to the Stop and Shop yesterday, and they have it set up so everything's like a one-way street.
Yep.
It's really
Yeah.
confusing. And I had to break the rules a few times about the one-way street thing at the grocery store. So
Philip.
I've been guilty of that too.
yeah, because like if you're
I tried to
going
figure out.
one way and you like need to grab something and it's like you're at like the end of the aisle and you're supposed to go right or something and it's
Yeah.
like right there, you have to like circuit the entire store and then go back to
Right.
that like one spot, and it's just like, do I really need to do that?
Was there anybody else in the aisle while you were trying to do it?
Yeah, there were a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, people were pretty good about like giving everyone distance in the aisles, and we've been wearing our masks every time we go out. So
I think you're good.
yeah.
All right, so where are people at with, Anna, is your soup boiling yet? Mine isn't.
So I lowered it down to a simmer and covered it. That's what I assumed I was supposed to do, but
Yep, that's good.
Almost done peeling.
All right.
We have lots and lots of veggies in our soup.
oh yeah. That looks good.
There was additions of some celery in there too.
Ooh.
Yeah, again, that's not, you know, whatever.
All within the French flavor profile, so
Yep.
we're good.
Great. We've been doing this wild celery from our neighbor, and it's really crazy stuff. It's like super intense celery flavor, you know, like big leafy parts that I've been adding to herby things, you know.
I never knew there was such a thing as wild celery.
Me neither.
Oh.
She grows it somehow.
It's chicken stock. That's how chicken stock is supposed to be. It's just gonna taste good.
All right.
Trust me.
What do I do next?
Another addition is that we are using chicken stock instead of water.
Yeah, again, you can do whatever you want, you know.
Look at it.
It's the beauty of soup. Oh, that is not, that is.
We got a package of chicken feet from Honeybee.
Oh, okay.
Chicken stock, so it's like basically Jello.
That's so good for you, right?
All right, so I'm covering this and I'm moving it to my simmer thing, and then I'm just gonna let it go to town. Turn this off. All right, next.
Well, while she's doing that, just a quick question. I'm curious about, as we're sort of broadcasting here, what view do you typically see? Are you on speaker views? Like, does it move around to whoever's speaking, or do you have one view selected? How have you got it set up on your end?
Gallery view.
You're in the gallery view. Okay.
I'm also in gallery view.
Yeah.
Brady.
That's
Brady.
Same.
Oh, all right.
Woo.
Where's everybody? Are we ready to move on to the next?
Potatoes peeled.
I'm really
Oh my
Alright.
God. Maybe I'm peeling too many potatoes, but whatever.
How many potatoes do you have, Philip?
1,
Approximately.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like 12.
Oh, good. No,
Oh no!
no. Stop.
You need
Stop.
3 to 5, right?
Yeah.
I have this.
Maybe I want like extra though.
That's fine. So let me explain a little bit about a gratin. I have for years had problems making the gratin because I've had to make it. You need to cook the potatoes on top of the stove first. So if you have a pan that can go from the stovetop to the oven, you're in really great shape. I've never had one that's the correct size. But for Christmas this year, I got, if that can go in the oven, then that's fine. Yeah. So, because you need to cook it on top of the stove first.
Okay.
So, Juju got me this year, which I think is going to be the perfect pan for this. So, before you turn on the heat, you want to get a clove of garlic and you want to rub it all around your pan that you're cooking it in. As well, and if you're going to also be doing a transfer into a gratin pan that you're going to put into the oven, rub that one down with garlic too.
Wow.
Mm.
Good tip. I didn't know. So, could I actually? I've got 3 potatoes. I'm trying to figure out what's going to be the right pan for me to use today. I have 3 potatoes, but they're pretty big. Could you do a close-up on that pan so I can see the scale a little bit more?
Yep.
Here.
Hold on.
Do you want me to put my potatoes in the pan?
Yeah, that's helpful.
I have 5 potatoes.
Yeah. Cool. So they sort of like just fit nicely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's a hand for scale.
Okay. 10. Okay.
You want a small pan, sure?
Is that good?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I have 1 extra potato. Can I?
Sure.
Is that
Not allowed. All right. So I'm gonna take potatoes out again.
all right? So just rub it like.
Yep.
Just rub the garlic into the.
I usually I mash mine a little bit, so it's a little bit open and all that kind of stuff. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Question: will this pan need to be covered in the oven?
Yeah, a little bit, but you can just use the tin foil.
Okay.
Just put a little bit of tin foil. So I'm just rubbing my pan. Sorry. I'm not giving you a heads up. Sorry about that.
It needs to be an oven, stove to oven.
Trust me.
I
There you go.
do trust you, John.
All right.
They typically-
So you just rub it. You don't, and you could, if there are little few pieces that just sort of stay there, that's fine, you know. But you're just sort of infusing, you're just putting that. I do also put in the garlic that I use into the milk mixture afterwards. And I just usually leave it whole and then fish it out before I put it in the oven. So next, we need to slice the potatoes.
Mm.
Those of you who have a cuisinière, This is the time to use it. For those who don't, if you have a mandolin, go to town. Yep. And for those who don't have either, start slicing your potatoes. Try to make it as even as possible and not too, you don't want them paper thin. You want them, you know.
Inch.
1/8 of an inch.
Is it? Yeah, probably. Something like that, I would say. So, all right, so I'm going over to the cuisine now and I'm going to make noise.
Like 2/4 thick.
Like the thickness of 2/4.
Yeah, I guess so.
I could use that one, but the big red one.
Yeah.
I think she normally does it about this.
Supposed to fit on the bottom.
Oh, you've never been to Thanksgiving, have you?
This
Ah!
is just a home.
John!
Never been to Thanksgiving.
What happened?
John's never been to Thanksgiving. He's never eaten this before.
Oh.
Sacrilege.
John, come to Thanksgiving. What the heck? All right, I'm having problems. Hold on.
Potatoes are too tall.
I have to feed like 300 people every Thanksgiving. When I can get out of that obligation, I'll be there.
All right, calm down.
Is this like
It's not easy to-
Oh,
That's fine.
okay?
You know, again, the thicker the potatoes, a little longer it'll cook, but you know, yeah, that's good.
But it also makes a difference in the eating experience as well.
The thinner you slice them, the more cohesive it'll be, is my prediction. Because you're exposing more starch.
Does anybody ever watch Serious Eats? Or sorry, not Serious Eats. Good Eats with Alton Brown.
Yeah.
John is Alton Brown.
Yeah,
He gives the colorful scientific commentary to this cooking show. Am I wrong? I'm not wrong, John.
Can you just break the Cuisinart, Mama?
Charlotte.
that just popped out.
It's the block.
Yeah, and it's not a big deal.
You do.
Well, that is the
It's
point.
not.
I do. It's not good. Potato chips.
Cheesy, garlicky potato chips.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll just buy new top.
Stuff is that a problem?
What? A little bit more like what? And this is the inside of this is non-reactive. They line copper pans with that so that you can this one actually is lined with steel. This more traditional style from France is lined with tin, and you can see it's scratched up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you will have to re-tin those, but this one is super
Are
durable.
you cooking or are you just watching? Amanda.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm just watching. I'm just watching because I get to see my kids.
What's Dad doing?
Aw.
Dad has just come home with Beanie. They went out for a walk. But also, I want to know how to make these things, and so
It's a win-win.
exactly. And I get to see my beautiful nieces also.
Woo!
So, next,
Get to see my son-in-law. My wonderful son-in-law.
All right.
So if you're wondering about the thickness,
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
is that good?
That's really good. Yeah,
Win.
Perfect.
Wait.
Do you guys have one of these? Anyone?
No.
Do you suggest it, Josh?
Hmm?
Do you like having a mandolin?
Yes, these are great Christmas gifts.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of losing my
I am
finger
like
to
very
that thing.
afraid of like slicing devices because of like fingers and stuff.
Oh, trust me, I know. This is the injury I sustained from slicing. Philip, you were there. I don't know if you remember, but I was trying to slice like sweet potato fries with a whole potato on one of the ones that had like. Yep.
Ugh, no,
Yeah.
I don't remember that
Yeah.
because there was blood everywhere.
I think it was like.
Charlotte's skin.
Oh my
What?
God.
Secret ingredient is your skin.
Yeah.
Yum.
This one's like great because it's like light enough and it's also like it's not very scary and like the blade.
It's just a
is-
straight blade that you can take off and sharpen so that it's
Yeah.
always sharp and you never have to force stuff through it.
Yeah, because that's what my problem was, is that I was trying to like force like a potato through it, and so it like, you know, was bad. But yeah, these are really great.
The Ben Reiner brand, the Japanese mandolins are super good.
Is that a wider one than the little green one that you got us?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this one is the
That's
skinny
still
one,
the wide
and
one.
this
That's
one-
still the wide.
oh, this is wide. This is jumbo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got this big one to take to work with me when I want to like shave whole heads of cabbage. But the normal one is only like 4 or 5 inches wide, and
Yeah.
it's super compact. Like it'll fit in a drawer. And they're great. Like I used to carry one of those in my knife bag like for years.
Yes,
and they're only,
what we
they're
have.
only like $20 too.
Oh, that's
Like,
cute, Poog.
Yeah, this
yeah.
is one. Juice uses it all the time to slice things for her sandwiches.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, those 2 little screws on the back just come right out so you can sharpen the blade as often as you want.
They're great for like thinly slicing onions if you want like shaved like onions or whatever on a sandwich or like stuff like that. Yeah. It's
All
really
right. So next step, where are we at? Everybody have
Potatoes.
What?
Sorry. I have like 8 million potatoes.
Yeah. All right. Well, have you sliced them?
Yeah, I've been slicing.
All right. So the next step we need to do is we need to grate some cheese. So I happen to have, for Thanksgiving, in general, I usually have just good old extra sharp cheddar.
That is so French.
I happen to have some actual Gruyere that we got from Wegmans, so I'm actually going to make a mixture of the two this time, just because it's what I have, and you know, I'm making gratin, so
It needs French cheese.
it needs French cheese.
Water. That's it.
Oh, what? Oh, hold on.
Vermont cheddar.
Sure.
Ooh, how much cheese are we talking again?
For a kilo of potato, so for 2.5 pounds of potato, you need 160 grams of cheese, approximately. And so, oops, hold on. So this piece of Gruyere is 215 grams. So I'm gonna cut half of it, and I'm gonna use half of that.
Wait, this is not the beakers.
Square chunk is the beaches.
And then I'm gonna put, and again, if you like a lot of cheese, then put in a lot of cheese. You know, it's one of those things that, these are approximations.
You have to know what a lot is compared to what not a lot is.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess for the, you know, I have a tendency to put a little extra on the top, is usually where I put my extra cheese in. So it bubbles a little bit more, and it covers, it gives a whole cover to, I like all the potatoes to be covered with cheese. So.
But inside,
But
You're
inside,
saying the
it's usually
beginners, the amount
yeah.
should be.
about 100 grams for a half a liter of milk.
Wait a minute. Wait. I'm getting confused. I just did 160 grams. That's like, right.
That's
right.
that's fine. Yes.
And now, do we grate it like the
Yeah,
big
I
grate?
grate it on a box grater, and I use the big one.
Big one.
The thing about this recipe is it involves a whole lot of sharp implements.
Yes. you need to be able to, you need to be wary of your fingers. That is correct. You know, you need to know when you're getting close to the machine,
Yes.
like adding skin to your cheese.
Oh, you know what? I saw this the other day about box graters, that you can actually hold it on its side. And then, like, the cheese just, like, stays in it.
Oh,
Ah,
Like that.
what about this?
whoa.
Can I use like chop it in half?
Sure, and grate it. Sure.
What is it?
Is it cheddar?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
How many potatoes are you ending up using, Philip?
I'm just using all of them.
Oh, no.
All right, then you're gonna have to double the amounts at the very least, or just use only some of them and do something else with the other ones, like just make mashed potatoes out of them. It's your choice.
What if I
Well,
like split it into 2 pans? That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, you can do that, but make sure that you actually are making so you're doubling the recipe at the very least. If not,
Okay.
yeah, you're
Wait,
probably
with that whole block of cheese.
yeah. So you'll need the whole block of cheese.
I was gonna say, if you have way too many potatoes, you can always shred half of them on the box grater and put them in the microwave for like 45 seconds, and then just freeze them, and you have hash browns whenever you want them.
We don't even have a box grater.
Uh-oh.
So
Okay, well then.
I'll be slicing the cheese too.
Okay.
Okay, Santa Claus has noted that.
Everybody knows
No, we're gonna get a really good like Christmas list together over the course of these like cooking lessons.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I haven't opened the cheese.
And the good thing about it is that when it becomes too small and you can't grate anymore, you just eat the rest. All right. Oh, there we go. So I just checked my soup.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, that's good. Here, let me show you. What's John? John's embarrassed of how dirty our stove is, but here.
Okay, so it's
Guys, don't even. Oh my gosh.
Ooh.
wow.
Delicious and nutritious.
Yes.
Alrighty. So next, I'm trying to remember. Wait a minute. What are my steps here? Right. Oh, I know what I was forgetting. Sorry. That's what happens. You so your half liter of whole milk.
So once again,
What?
there is 3 cups.
No, it's 2 cups of milk.
Yes.
You want to actually bring it to a boil. So I'm getting out my handy dandy. I love this pan. Oh, this is another great size pan that I got for Christmas. It's a little bit taller than I have another small one. Just so, can you see the difference?
Cool.
This
Oh,
is
yeah.
a great size because it's a little bit taller. It's great to actually make caramel soup. just as an FYI.
That's a good FYI.
Because it's tall enough so you can wet down the sides. All right. So
Our stove is broken right now, and we really only have like one working burner, which is terrible.
well, just,
I'm gonna need to take my soup off for a minute, but I think that's okay.
well, that's fine. Your soup probably, check the potatoes and the carrots. How are they doing?
It might be done. Let me look.
Yeah. So you can just pull it off and just let it sit and simmer for a little bit, and then you can always put it back on later.
Pookie, is it okay to boil your milk in your microwave?
I'm sure you can, but I prefer not to. I don't particularly. I melt butter. I reheat things in the microwave.
Okay.
I don't really cook anything in the microwave.
Okay.
You could, but yeah, you could as long as you bring it up to that temperature. I find it harder to figure out. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I look at it and then I sort of see if it's hot or not, and I stick my finger in it.
Are we mixing anything else in with the milk?
Yes. So my leftover garlic. My leftover garlic. I'm just gonna throw that in with the milk that I'm heating.
Oh, you're already heating the milk?
Yeah. I'll wait for everybody. Just tell me when where you're at when you're at.
Wait, so you said 1 cup of milk or?
No. 2 cups of milk, the half a liter of whole milk, preferably. If you do not have whole milk, and if you have some heavy cream and like 1% or 2%, put in like 3/4 of it as the milk, and then the rest of it is heavy cream. That's what I do. You know.
Like you should have, like the potatoes are going to be basically like swimming in the cooking liquid, right?
Yes,
So
that is correct. You are going to be, your potatoes are going to be swimming in that. You're going to cook it on top of the stove for a little bit, and then you stick it in the oven.
Do we want the milk in the pan that we're cooking the potatoes in, or in like a separate sauce?
I think it's better to do it in a separate thing, because what we're going to do is that we're actually going to scramble an egg, and then we're going to slowly put the hot milk over the egg just to cook it a little bit so it doesn't seize up and become totally scrambled eggs at the beginning.
Okay.
So yes, I find it easier to do it that way, but so, there it is.
I'm so glad we're doing this one because, like I said, literally, I've tried a couple recipes now for gratin, and I think that's what it was missing, Pook. It's like this recipe is like a little more solid, right? Like
Yeah. I mean, the egg coagulates the whole thing, so it sort of makes it more, rich and. Won't you? I don't know how you say that. I don't know how you say it in English, so I don't say it in English. So while the milk is heating, I'm just cracking an egg. So for the 2 cups of for the 2 cups of milk, you just need 1 egg. Was that Philip?
no, that was me.
Okay.
Our fridge is too small. We have a really small fridge, so it's like we're missing a shelf in it too, so it's like kind of a hassle.
How are we doing with it? Are we all synced up? Are people at their same stage right now, Philip?
Yeah, because I can slow down if you guys need some time. Tell me where you're at. Silence.
Philip, stage are you at?
We're pretty well looking at Philip.
Just got my eggs and I turned on my milk.
Okay.
The only one we can't see cooking.
Sarah, do we still have the
Wow. It is really not easy to scramble an egg with a spoon.
Why are you using, don't you have a fork?
I do, but it's all the way over there.
Wow. Oh,
Charlotte.
okay. All right. So,
The fork. Well, you're right.
I like to add salt and pepper at this stage.
Salt and pepper. Just to the egg?
Just to the egg, and then we'll be adding the milk to the egg.
So it's okay, like it's salting on the heavier side because it will be added with other stuff.
Yeah, I have a tendency not to add a lot because just cheddar, hard cheeses are saltier. So
Also, Mama just turned off the heat to the milk because it was boiling.
yeah, so you just want to bring it up to just that boil. So now it's done.
What heat did you have your milk on?
I had it on high, sort of, but you have to check it so it doesn't like boil over.
I had put mine on low.
Oh, okay. So I'll
So
wait.
let's wait for people to
Yep.
catch up on the milk boiling
Yep.
part.
Yep. Then I'm going to refresh my beverage.
Here's a funny question. I don't eat black pepper because I've
Right.
always been afraid that it gives me migraines, which I'm not actually sure is true, but I just like it in my first foot now.
Do you have white pepper? Can you use that as opposed to black pepper? Is there any kind
No.
of pepper that you use?
I have like no pepper in my house. I mean, I have like red peppers. Like I'll sometimes use like a little bit of like, smoked paprika or something. But that's like a different taste, you know? I'm just wondering if there's any other add-in that is appropriate. No.
I would just for Anna, you know, I don't think it's
People can add pepper to taste if they wish.
yeah.
I don't think you're missing much if you're not adding the pepper.
Yeah, I don't think so. You know, it's just sort of it's one of those things that you just sort of, you add salt and pepper, you know, it's just, but the amount of pepper that I put in compared to everything else is pretty minimal. So I don't think it's going to change anything. So where is it? Where are we at?
Still boiling the milk.
Same.
You're still boiling the milk? Okay. Yes.
She froze.
Oh, you're frozen, Shash.
Or we are.
I don't know.
Mama,
Yes. Sorry.
if we're doing nutmeg, do we add it into the egg mixture now or do we wait?
Yep. Yeah, I usually forget to put the nutmeg. But since I have some time, I'll put a little nutmeg in. I'm just using pre-ground nutmeg. Shash is using her nutmeg grater.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, look at that. Nice. Fresh.
Look at that.
There we go.
But Anna, Adam has a little sensitivity to nutmeg, right? So
Yeah, Adam gets like weird with nutmegs.
yeah.
Yeah, so again, you know, if you have things that you can't eat, it adds some kind of depth, but honestly, when I make it to go to Thanksgiving, I never put my nutmeg in. And usually I forget the pepper too. So, you know, I've forgotten salt. The salt isn't as big a deal just because there's so much cheese in it. It gets salty. But, you know, I've forgotten the other things, and I don't think it makes a huge difference. Everybody eats it still.
Do we have to skim the milk or anything?
What? No.
Like my milk is starting to get a bit of a skin on it.
Yep, that's okay. No, I
Fine.
don't. Yeah, that's fine. So, yeah.
Mix
See,
it in.
Mine has a little bit of skin. Yeah, just mix it in. So what I am going to do is, because I put the garlic into the milk and it sort of infused it, I'm going to fish it out.
Oh, I forgot to do that.
But it doesn't matter. You don't have to do it.
I've just put it in.
So I have this lovely handy dandy thing. So I'm just
So
gonna,
do we want our milk to be like mine is starting to like sort of froth and foam and bubble up?
yep, that's good.
Time to stop?
Is that time to stop, Momo?
Yep.
Everybody see that?
I just took my garlic out. Yep. There we go. And you know, if you forget to take the garlic out, that's okay too, because I've done that before and it just cooks into the thing and makes it slightly garlicky. So if you don't have pepper and you have extra garlic, that's good too.
Okay.
So does everybody have their milk? Do they have their beaten egg and their hot milk? Or
Yeah.
should we wait a little bit?
I have mine. Philip, how are you? Do you have yours
I'm
yet?
waiting on it to boil.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
John just got, okay, well, maybe not just got, but a little while ago, John found this pasta maker at Salvation Army or like this pasta extruder thing. So you can like put the dough in, it comes out in like all these fun shapes. You know, like those Play-Doh things that we used to have, like little, it's like that, but for pasta, but big. And so he found this guy who makes like 3D printed like cuts for like custom pasta shapes or whatever for like $10. And so he just got like his little customized pasta shape thing. And so now he's trying it out.
What is it? What is the shape?
Well, we don't know yet exactly. This is the pattern. Oh, no, sorry. This is not the new one. Where is the new one? Oh. Okay, well, the new one's already in the machine, but we don't know what shape it's going to make quite yet because we just had like the pattern. So it's going to be, oh, sorry, John does know. So we're going to find out. I'm going to find out.
How fun.
Okay. So where are we at?
Milk is boiled for me.
I'm ready
Milk
to
is
go.
still boiling.
Has it started to froth a little bit on the edges? Is steam coming up?
There's a little bit of steam.
Yeah, that's fine. Because
Okay.
it's fine. That's hot enough. Oh, Zhuzh, can you hand me the little small square trivet? I'm just gonna bring it over here. So I'm just to be able to show you, I'm bringing over my milk. I have a little ladle, but you know, if you just have a ladle, what you want to do is while you're mixing your egg, you pour in very slowly the hot milk, just so it acclimatizes the egg to it, so you don't, when you're cooking, it doesn't come totally scrambled.
Okay.
And you just need to do that, you know. And then once it's like this, where you see that it's not, nothing sort of scrambled or anything like that. And pour the whole thing all back together. Ta-da!
Oh, I see. Okay. I'm just mixing all of mine into the thing.
Yeah, well, that's fine. But that's it. So now, just because of the pan that I'm using, I'm actually going to pour this into the actual pan on the stove.
Oh, you're pouring it into your potato pan.
I am pouring it into my potato pan. Now, if your potato pan cannot go on the stove, then you want to put it in the pan that because you're going to pre-cook the potatoes in the milk and the egg mixture. So,
Wait, it wasn't there.
okay, so I'll start again.
Put it on the stove.
You need to start your potatoes in a stove top pan that's safe for an open flame. Okay? Once we get the potatoes to a certain point, we'll then pour everything into the baking dish that will go into your oven. If you have a pan like this cast iron one that I have, or a pan that you can go from the stove into the oven, you can use the same pan. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So if you're
Sorry, how do you know when the eggs are ready to go into the rest of the mixture?
just when they're warm and it just blends into the milk. You see the milk here? It just looks like milk, but it has a slightly yellowish tannish color to it.
Okay.
All right. Now I'm going to put in my sliced potatoes into the stovetop pan. So I'm going to lay mine out a little bit.
So if we were, for instance, if I have a pan that can go from the stove into the oven, should I put them into a nice arrangement right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
If not, I mean, a lot of times I try to do that. For Thanksgiving, and trust me, I usually just throw them in, just sort of evenly distribute them. Yeah.
Should we grease the bottom of the pan if it's going to go into?
Yeah, that probably might be a good idea. Your baking pan, you might want to do that, but this one is this one. I didn't do it. I'm new to using this pan, so this is an experiment for me, and I screwed up. You want to add some of the cheese to your milk and egg mixture before. Okay. It's because you want to turn it around. You want to mix it in, and I forgot to do that. So I didn't put in all my potatoes yet, so I'm going to do it now.
How much of the cheese?
Usually about 100 grams of the cheese.
Okay.
And they say 60 for the top. That's when the 60 might become a little bit more, and you just want to add more to the top of it. But you do that just before you put it into the oven. All right. There we go. Just stir it around so the cheese melts a little bit. And, oh, good.
Did we lose somebody?
Did we lose somebody? No. So I'm going to continue. Now that I've added the cheese to this, I'm adding my potatoes.
We lost your overhead view.
Ah.
Oh, probably died.
All right. So I'm just continuing to put in my potatoes.
So if Philip is doing this in 2 vessels, he'd want to divide it in half.
Yes.
Should I preheat the oven to something?
Oh, right, yes. I like to cook it for about 15 minutes at 400 degrees. And then I turn it down and let it cook for another half an hour, 45 minutes until it's nice and crusty.
How long?
15 minutes.
And then how long? What's the temperature?
Again, it depends on how much you have and all that kind of stuff. So another half hour, because you are cooking the potatoes on top of the stove for a little bit.
What was the second temperature?
350 maybe,
Okay,
375, depending on your.
cool. We're using our science oven,
Okay.
which will automatically change the temperature for us when it's time.
Ooh.
That's nice. So while you're putting your potatoes in your pan, have it so that the milk is coming up to a little bit of a boil. So because you want to cook it for a good 15-20 minutes. Make sure that you push things. You don't have to use your hands, but you can use something. Make sure that you push the potatoes down so that they're covered by the milk.
So you do like layers of the potatoes.
Yep.
So we're gonna, you said Pook, like sort of simmer it for like 15 to 20 minutes?
Yep, on top of the stove.
Well, this was the right amount of potatoes. Yeah.
Come say hi.
Daddy?
You know it's Taz. Go say hi. Go wake over.
Yes.
Hey.
Hello, boy.
Oh, there's a sweet boy. There's a sweet boy. Look over here. Look, go say hi.
His tail wagging. Fuzzy. Hello, Smiley.
What a good boy. Poor Taz, he has allergies. He's like a very sensitive dog.
No.
He loves rolling in the grass at this time of year, but he's like allergic to grass. He like roll and he'll sneeze. I have to give him a bath today to get all the pollen off of him.
All right. So there we go. So I don't know if you can see this or not, but that's sort of, and I'm going to let it come to a boil. Right now it's on pretty low. It's on low for me right now. I'm going to turn it up just a little bit. And let it come up to a nice boil and let it boil for, 10, 15 minutes while the oven's heating. Add my garlic.
Wow, getting all the angles, football. Oh, you're fixing the top one. I thought you were like doing another view.
Okay. Verification. How's that look?
Looks good, Shelly.
Cool. So I let that come to a boil?
Yes, you let that come to a boil.
Or a simmer?
A simmer.
Small bubbles?
Yeah, small bubbles. On a whim, I decided to chop up the garlic that was in my milk and I added it to it because I felt like it.
Ooh, that's a nice idea.
So
So, Pook, are you still feeling like doing some of the pastry stuff today, or do you think maybe not?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's all right.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's a lot.
I just think we can choose something, a short one, just because the eclairs are actually, it's actually very time consuming.
It's a long thing. Yeah.
It's probably a couple of hours just to make the eclair because it's sort of it's actually a 3-step process. So,
that's totally understandable. We'll do a special session sometime.
yeah. So if people are not interested in doing that, we can schedule it at a different time or something, whatever.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's the cream puff and eclair recipe from King Arthur Flour. So, I mean, if you wanted to, you can make like the crème pâte beforehand. But
Okay, yeah, I can.
or we can do two. Yeah, as Kent just suggested, we can make it. We can make it as 2 sessions. Oh, I know I forgot something. Butter.
Oh,
Butter. Oh.
Butter where?
Before you put it into the oven, you'll want to take like a tablespoon of butter and dot the top of the pan with it, top of the potatoes with it, and then you put the cheese in first, and then you put on the cheese, and then you put the extra butter on top of the cheese. So I definitely can see that I do not have enough cheese here, so I'm going to grate some more.
Well, all this is looking great. Adam says it looks
So
really good.
it looks like don't panic if it looks like it's curdling a little bit. That's perfectly okay. All right.
Ooh, you're sort of moving it around a little bit.
Just a little bit, just more, just to make sure that all the potatoes are covered. That's all. And you can see how it's curdling a little bit on the side. Can you see that?
Yeah.
That's normal.
What I'm talking about. This is what I've been missing with these other recipes.
Yep. No, that's normal, and it's okay.
So I try to do this without melting your phone.
Yeah. Well, yes, that would be good. Thanks.
Looking good. This is exciting.
I'm going to go out and get the chicken so we can grill it because it's not defrosted.
Okay. I mean, I can get it if you want.
No, I need to move. My legs are getting stiff.
Okay.
Oh.
Philip, how's yours going?
Good. Hold on a second. I'll show you.
Yeah, let's see it.
Everyone should show theirs when we're all done.
You don't want to heat it up?
Oh, wait. There it is.
Ooh, wow. Ooh, looks good. Look at you with
I
your
got
cat
the little
eye.
mushroom match.
Oh, you got the mushrooms.
Look at him.
Ooh.
It's
Under control. He knows what he's doing.
Should this be on? Yeah.
No.
Oh, Kent is checking the soup. That's what my soup looks like.
Oh, yeah, let's see. All right.
Yum.
me.
Mine's looking pretty good. I think I'm going to blend mine now.
I'm going to blend mine too, but I'm going to wait until this is done and all that kind of stuff. All right. My oven still isn't cooked, so. I like to check my potato just to see if like a knife goes through it. And it's not, it's still pretty raw, which is normal. So if it's looking like this, you're in great shape.
Wow.
What shall I do with my extra leeks that I chopped up?
You can make a vichyssoise, which is just leek. It's just a leek and potato soup. You just don't add the carrot. And then you can have it, it's a little bit thicker. You can also just chop it up and add it to any kind of, you know, use it instead of onions, you know.
You could probably even like put the rest of it into the gratin.
Probably.
Ooh.
A few, like, you know.
Really good.
We have a pizza night coming up in a couple of nights. So maybe I'll
Ooh. Leeks on pizza. That would be really good.
Throw them into a quiche too.
Oh yeah.
Yep. But I would cook them a little bit before you put it in the quiche, you know.
Saute them a little bit.
Yeah.
I usually do quiche, leeks and bacon for my quiche.
Mm.
There's also, I know there's a leek and potato tart that people make.
Ooh.
But I can't. I mean, it's very much like this, but in a tart pan and very thin. I'm trying to remember if it actually has a pastry at the bottom or not. I'm not quite sure.
Mama, do you know how to make galettes?
No, not really. Just because it's puff pastry, and I'm very scared of puff pastry.
Mm.
All right, so
Gosh, I've made galettes before with a recipe from Smitten Kitchen. I don't know if you know Smitten Kitchen.
no, I don't know that one.
But she has it's a dough recipe made with sour cream, and it's really for a galette, and it's super good.
Huh. Okay.
Awesome.
I don't know.
All right, my oven is hot. My potatoes have been boiling and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to add my extra cheese to my potatoes.
Do you want the potatoes on the stove to be like cooked through?
No,
Or
you don't have to. No, because they're also going to be cooking. You're putting them into the oven for a good 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's just to start them and to get the sort of the starch out and let everything sort of, you know, cook through. If you just threw everything into the oven without pre-cooking them, it would probably take about 2 hours to cook. It just makes this happen faster. That's all. So I'm at the point where I'm going to put my cheese on top of my potatoes.
Did you do the butter yet?
Nope, I'm going to put that on top of the cheese.
Okay. Got it.
Can you guys hear me crunching pita chips?
No.
Okay, good.
Ooh, this soup smells real good.
Mm.
I don't think I have enough cheese.
Choisis comment? Cheese.
I'm going to add a little more cheese. Again, this is one of those calls that's just like, well, I just don't think there's enough cheese.
I'm adding some more cheese too, Poop. Just seems like the right thing to do.
I feel like you can never have too much cheese.
I agree with that.
Well, remember when we tried to make zucchini mush? We definitely put too much cheese in that one.
I don't know if that was the only problem, though.
Yeah, there were a lot of problems. It just turned into a cement. It was inedible.
It would have made an excellent adhesive.
We should do zucchini mush.
What? Oh, well,
Zucchini mush.
we can make zucchini mush and eclair if you want, because zucchini mush does not take long. You need a couple of zucchini.
Combo.
You need cheese
And butter.
and butter. That's it. All right. I'm now going to put butter on top of the.
And you just do like a tablespoon, Pook, sort of.
Yeah. And you just, you cut it into little cubey things.
Okay.
So I have, yeah, it's a tablespoon. Yeah.
Tablespoon all together, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see, but they're just like these little
Oh yeah.
cubes.
Just little knobbies of butter.
Oh, this already smells really good.
You guys are going to be all eating so well today.
All right. So
The next
I
2
am-
weeks.
personally, I am debating what to do here. Usually what I do is that I cover this with tinfoil and stick it in the oven. And then let it come back up into a boil in the oven. And then I take the tinfoil off, and then let it brown. It's usually what I do, because you don't want to have it brown first. You want everything to sort of cook through, and then you want to finish by browning it. Does that make sense? Because if you put it in uncovered, it'll brown really fast, but the rest of the potatoes won't be cooked. So it gives you that false sense of I'm done, because it's nice, and then your cheese becomes burnt because you have to overcook it. That's why you sort of put it in covered for 15, 20 minutes. Does that make sense? Other tip.
If you use your cover, you could use your pan cover.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do, but I'm just trying to think. No, it should be fine. Where did I put my pan? Oh, there it is. Found it. So I'm just going to cover mine and stick the whole thing in the oven.
Okay.
When you put here's a really important tip. Because I'm not using the tin foil, and I'm just using my cover. A trick I found to do it so that the tin foil doesn't stick to the cheese as much, spray it or oil it with something with like Pam first, and put that side down so that your cheese doesn't all stick to the tin foil. Or alternatively, you can put it in there and then take it out and sprinkle the cheese and dot it with the butter afterwards. But I always put it in and cover it with a tin foil, and just make sure you either oil it or butter it, or use Pam is a great thing. If you have Pam, just spray your tin foil and place it. All right.
Good tip.
And then, I'm going to put my timer on I'll put it on for 20 minutes.
For 20. So you're gonna bring it, you said, sort of back to a boil and then uncover it?
And then uncover it and then let it cook.
Okay.
Or until it's nice and brown. And you can stick a toothpick or a knife just to make sure that your potatoes are cooked all the way through. Because sometimes the bottom layer is cooked before and the top layer, but the middle isn't. So.
What I would suggest is we stop the recording.
Okay.
We can leave the Zoom open. Everybody can finish cooking their thing, and then at the end we can open up everybody can compare.
If you guys want to do that, so
And you don't have to stay in Zoom, but I'll leave the room open and we'll just stop recording now while that's happening.
Do anybody have any questions before we stop recording? Okay. All righty. Well, so I'm gonna
go.
Hi. So we've stopped the other one. Our gratin and our soups are simmering and in the oven. We're now going to make a crème pâtissière, and it's the King Arthur flour recipe.
Oh, I love the soup.
So the ingredients that you need are, I'll repeat them. Do you want me to repeat them?
Sure.
Yeah.
3 cups of whole milk, a half a cup of sugar, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract or half of vanilla bean, a 1/4 cup of cornstarch, a tablespoon of flour, 4 egg yolks, and 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter. All righty. So, first step is we have to heat up the milk. The same process. Oh, is that the pasta?
This is the pasta.
Wow.
Looks like a music staff.
You're witnessing the birth of a new pasta shape.
Okay.
Throw a trademark on that.
Yeah.
So next step, it's actually close to the same process that we were doing with the egg and the milk for the gratin to start off. So we need to heat up the milk. If you're using the vanilla bean, you put the vanilla bean in with the 2.5 cups of milk. The milk is split between 2 things. Okay, so we're heating up 2.5 cups of milk.
And that will leave us with a half cup?
Yes, that leaves us with a half cup, yes. If you are using the vanilla extract, do not put it in with the milk now. You'll put it in later. Okay, so there's a distinction between using the bean and using the extract. The extract you put in at the end, the bean you infuse the milk with it. So, doing that. Alrighty. To the milk, you're also going to add the sugar. So you have the sugar, the milk, salt, and vanilla bean if you're using the vanilla bean. In the milk. Sorry, to get into the. Alrighty.
So that was the salt.
That was the salt. Just put the salt in. Alrighty. So, hold on. All right, so where is everyone?
I have to wash a dish.
Oh, okay. So I'm heating up my milk. Tell me when you're ready to go for the next step, and tell me if you need what you need to if you need the steps again.
We're just heating up our combination of milk, sugar, and salt.
Perfect.
And then we should heat it to a boil.
You just want over medium heat. You want to bring it up until the sugar is dissolved.
Got it.
That you can just stir it, whisk it, whatever. So you just bring it up to a simmer, apparently. What I found out about this thing is that it's not super sweet, just the vanilla. It's sort of a nice, the proportions are nice. All right. While the next step, while the milk is heating up, we're going to make a mixture with the egg yolks, the cornstarch, the flour, and the extra half a cup of milk. So I'm going to separate my eggs now.
Did you put the salt in the
Milk.
in the milk?
Yes.
So just the salt and sugar?
The salt, the sugar, the milk, and the vanilla bean if you're using a vanilla bean. Now we need to separate the eggs because we just need the yolks.
Oh,
What?
I went the wrong way.
Fool.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Made it day.
115 lives and I've only halfway died. I dropped out now.
No.
It's not too late.
Yes. Let me tell you. Next.
Just the egg yolk and the cornstarch?
Sorry, what?
Is it the egg yolk and cornstarch?
All right, so hold on. So have you separated your eggs and your egg whites and your egg yolks?
Yep.
Okay, so to the egg yolks, you want to add the cornstarch. Oops, where's my tablespoon? The tablespoon of flour. Tablespoon of flour. That's it. So we whisk these together and you add the other half cup of milk that you reserved. You just make a slurry.
A tablespoon of flour, you said?
Yep. All right, so all right. If you have a thermometer, a quick what are they called? Quick take thermometers, or, you know, rapid thermometer thingy.
Read thermometers.
Sorry, what are they called?
Instant read.
Instant read, thank you. If you have an instant read thermometer, get it out. We'll need it for this once we get everything together.
And if you don't?
You're on your own.
Yeah, I don't know.
R.I.P.
Does everybody have one? I think so. I saw one in Adam's hand, so I'm going with a yep, that'll work.
Just so you don't scramble the eggs.
Sorry. So the milk goes in with the.
So the extra, you're making a slurry with the extra half a cup, the egg yolks, the flour, and the cornstarch.
Okay. What about the vanilla?
The extract,
Yeah.
that comes in after we've actually cooked it.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were using the vanilla bean.
No.
Oh, okay. So I'm the only one using the vanilla bean, so I'll make sure to tell you about it. So I have the slurry here.
No thanks.
All right.
Thank you though.
And still waiting for the milk to sort of, it's hot enough. Because we're actually going to be cooking it we're going to be putting it back in the pan.
Yum.
All right. So.
That's all right. We'll give Charlotte time to catch up.
All right. So, where's everybody at?
We've got our milk. I think it's hot enough, and we've got our egg yolk flour mixture.
Okay. Josh, are you all set?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to do the same technique that we did for the gratin, adding a couple of ladles of hot milk to the colder one, just to it's actually called tempering. I didn't realize that. So I'm just taking so all right, so I put like 4 ladles in. I'm going to fish my fishing my vanilla bean out. And now what we want to do, so this, all right, so they recommend that we're now going to put the egg mixture into the hot milk mixture now that we've tempered the eggs. They recommend to do it through a strainer so it's smoother. So I'm just going to, just adding this to here.
You have it.
And there's a little bit of stuff that's that was caught by the strainer. Now I'm going to put this whole thing back on the heat. And then we bring it to a boil. But here, this is where you want to stir it constantly so it doesn't stick, and it's going to go really quickly because there's cornstarch in it. It thickens pretty fast.
Is it good to stir it with a whisk or with like a spatula, or what do you?
I like to use a spatula. I think you can whisk it too. I don't think there's a, I don't think there's any set rule.
But you're not trying to get air into it.
No. Oh, well, here it says boil stirring constantly with a whisk. So you can use a whisk.
And we haven't done anything with the butter yet, right?
Nope. That comes at the end. It's sort of like you finish it with the butter. Now, if you want to flavor this, last time what I did is that I split it in two and I added chocolate chips to half of it and a half a cup of chocolate chips to one half, and then let the other one.
At what point did you do that, Pooh?
What?
At what point did you put the chocolate in?
At the end.
Oh, at the end. Okay.
At the end. We first need to cook. You first need to actually cook it.
Got it.
So, and you need to cook it so it's nice and thick.
So, how's our technique so far?
I think it's working.
I'm wondering if Philip would give us would the French chef give us the thumbs up, or would we get slapped with the ruler?
He'd probably slap you with the ruler.
Well, because
he wanted if you had any chunks, you had to restart, completely restart.
Yep.
I remember this part with the stirring on the stove was really hard too.
Yeah, because you have to be really, you actually can't walk away from it, because if you do, it can go very quickly. So you actually just need to sort of stand here and whisk for a while. Now, here they recommend that it goes up to 165 degrees. So that's when your Insta-read it's nice to have. But you have to make sure that it's actually thick first. Mine isn't thick at all right now. It hasn't done anything yet. So I'm gonna turn mine up a little bit. Ooh.
What's the temperature, Pook, that we're aiming for?
165. Are you done with this pasta water?
Want some pasta?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that's some good pasta.
Ooh, your pasta!
Can I see it?
John, bring it here.
72. Ooh, it's too hot. Too hot. Yeah.
Okay, well, mine's about to turn. And, yep.
Let's see it, Pook. Let's see how thick it is.
Okay, hold on. Just checking. Mine's at 172. So I'm turning off my thing.
Yeah, Anna?
Oh, okay, yeah, look at that one.
I'm gonna heat the soup back up.
Here. No.
Okay, so you want it sort of gloppy, but not like
Right,
really.
right. And it's going to set a little bit more once it cools too.
For in pancake mix?
Yeah. I mean, it's like this, and it's that help?
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay. And it's thickening and thickening. I turned it off.
78.
Ooh, wow, that went real quick.
Yeah, that's why you have to sort of be on top of it. It does go like really quickly. And then I'm going to strain it through the strainer again and put it into, I just have my Pyrex bowl that I did my slurry in. So I'm just going to pour it back in over it.
What point would we now do the chocolate or do it after?
No, we would do it at this time where it's that you will also want to after we've strained it, we're gonna put in the butter and your extract at this time. And if you want to flavor it, it'll be
Now's the time.
How does that look, Momo?
uh
It's like clinging.
yep, nope, that's good. Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm straining mine now.
The cornstarch is a helpful.
Yes, it is. It makes it easier to make a crème pâte. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know if the traditional technique uses cornstarch or not.
I don't think so. I think like you're supposed to do it with just like eggs.
Yeah, I know, but
flour.
it takes a lot more time and it's a lot more effort.
Yeah, and it's a lot more finicky too.
Yeah.
Like
Where I find this one really has been. It's easy, it's fast, and it's tasty. So now I'm going to, half of mine, I'm actually going to, I have these, I got this caramel chips from Calvo. So I'm going to make half of mine caramel, just to see what it's like, because I'm experimenting.
We did some chocolate.
And so you can add to, if you're just, I think it's a cup of chocolate for all 3 cups. If you're just going to do half of it, it's like half a cup of chips, something like that.
Don't forget about your gratins if they're in the oven.
Yes. Oh, well, want to come and check mine out?
She's beautiful.
wow.
Ooh, looks good.
Oh, I forgot to uncover mine.
Oh, yep. Well, uncover it now.
I might broil it for a little bit.
Yeah, that works.
So mix in 4 tablespoons of butter.
Did you put in your extract?
No.
Put in your extract. And are you flavoring yours, or are you just going to keep it vanilla?
I'm just going to do vanilla.
Okay. So then you will be. Yep. Now just a tablespoon at a time. You sort of put in your butter.
Wait, did we put in the butter before or after we strain it through?
After you strain it.
Ours is like going really slow straining.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Especially
Marianne, working it through the strainer, so you're gonna have to help it through.
Okay.
So I'm just mushing it through the strainer.
Mama, do you want me to take out the?
Sure.
Let's recommend it because you want to fine mesh. I shouldn't have done it. This is for chocolate.
right, I'm wrong. as usual. I'm gonna put the chocolate.
That seems dumb to me. You don't need to. No.
All righty. And there we go. Oop.
Cool. And then once you've added the butter, it's done.
Yep.
Nice. Like a pudding or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. Now, you can lighten up your crème pâtissière by adding half a cup of whipped cream to it, if you'd like. I prefer it just like this.
Honestly, like this type of fresh pasta, you don't get that often.
What are your tips for storage for the?
So I'd recommend that you let it cool a little, but you want to put a plastic on top of it, just like, you know, any kind of pudding type of thing. So it doesn't develop a skin because it's got whole milk in it.
So it does stiffen up as it cools, though, right?
Yes, it will stiffen up.
Because mine's like it's like
Yeah.
definitely coating the whisk like really well.
Yeah, I mean, this is what. Yeah, that's right. Look.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pudding like, and it will thicken as it cools.
Okay.
Super tasty.
Did you
So I don't know if you guys saw Marianne. She's cutting up pieces of the butter and folding it in and getting it to melt, stirring it in.
So I'm going to make half of it caramel.
Is this caramel chip?
Mm-hmm.
Neat.
Might make it a little bit sweeter because they're sweet. But
So if we were gonna freeze this, Pook, how would you recommend freezing it? In like a Ziploc or something?
I think I would put it in some, well, I don't know.
Or like a little jar?
More like a jar, I think.
I think it would work well if you want to like put it in like once it's cool enough to put it in like a quart Ziploc or whatever, especially if you're making like a big batch.
Yeah.
So if you freeze it, you can just take out like smaller bags of Ziplocs that you can use at like one time without having to like scoop out whatever
True.
And you can freeze them flat, so it takes up less space in your freezer.
Then you could cut off the tip and pipe it.
Yep. So I'm just,
All right, I gotta clean this kitchen. What a mess.
is Cassandra there?
Yeah, pasta, gratin, soup.
Pat.
It's a lot that's going on in this very small kitchen.
So what did you just do?
So I just added my my crème pâte to the caramel chips in another bowl, and now I'm just whisking it and hoping that they'll melt.
I want to just eat the crème by itself.
Me too.
Really good.
Yeah, it's a nice recipe. I mean, and I always hesitate using cornstarch, but I forgot that it's really tasteless, and it really just thickens it, and it's so much easier. Also, what I noticed is that if you do add chips like chocolate or anything else, it'll make it thicker and stiffer. The vanilla will always be a little looser than.
Hey, John, can I blend this soup? Okay.
You want to try the caramel?
Oh, I do.
It's not super sweet.
I'm just gonna do it kind of chunky with the stick blender.
No,
Do you want this soup?
it's good.
I like it.
Okay, I'll just leave it then.
So there we go, guys. You have crème pâtissière.
Woo!
That looks really good.
Go team.
All right.
You know.
So why don't we is everybody's gratin finished?
No.
Getting there.
John, can I broil while this pan's in here?
So this is what ours looks like.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's really nice. I think mine's cooked. It's just not like roasty on the top. So I think I'm gonna broil it for a little bit.
Yeah, that'll work.
I'm gonna show ours. It's a little bit like crispy on the edges, but I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, no, that's fine. On the edges, sure, that's fine. No, that's mine are too because it cooks faster on the edge. Yeah, no, that's beautiful.
That's
Anna.
the nice crusty part that you get. That if you're first in line, you get some of that.
That's
We
it.
only have 2 in line at our house.
So I'm going to I'm actually going to transfer this to where I don't know where the lid's go. Like socks.
All right. Well, if we're done with the instruction part, I'm going to suggest we stop
Yes.
the recording because
Yes.
this is a massive recording.
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Crème.
All right. Well, we'll stay online here. I'm just going to stop the recording.
Ooh, Philip, let's see. Did you cut yours?
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
It's still going.
Wow.
Nice.
Good.
All right. Stop the
Yep.
finishing the recording.